Em, can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast. Don't click the bloody blue link. That's what he says. He also says, this is another classic one, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name is Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you all the tips, tricks and behind the scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey Em, and welcome back everyone. Who are we giving a very special Shoot Your Shot shout out to this week?
To Mark. And listen, I know you'll get angry at me if I say this is my favourite one of all time. So I'm not going to say it's my favourite one of all time. I'm going to say it's the most unique, incredible, different one we've had of all time. But Mark,
it's the funniest one, I think.
It's the dedication. Honestly, Mark, I just can't even deal. So Mark slid into our DMs on Instagram and it was a photo. And initially the photo was uncovered. And like, you know how if you're not friends with someone, it's like you have to tap on it to accept to get the image. So It said, just had an interview and had this up there to remind me. So I'm going, oh, what's this going to be? I click on the image. He's written on a Post-it note and stuck it above his monitor. So imagine he's on a Zoom, he's got the webcam, then just to the left, sticking up on the side, there's a Post-it note and it says in caps locks, CYBC, which stands for clench your butt cheeks. He said, I just had the interview and I had this there to remind me to clench, and I lost it. I was like, this is not what I was expecting, but I'm so pleasantly surprised.
I just love it so much. It's so funny. And like the original advice was to stop your hands from shaking. And I just wonder if that was Mark's biggest concern on a Zoom call, if they could see the shaking. But clearly, for some reason, he felt like that was a tip that was going to help him. And you do you, Mark. That's incredible.
It was so good. I wrote back immediately and I said, oh my God, Mark, this is gold. Thank you so much for sharing. 50 laugh cry faces. And I said, did you clench and did it work? And he said, yes and yes. And then he said, science. So I'm just absolutely obsessed.
I really love Mark's sense of humour. Like I can really tell the way that he's written it all. It's quite comical.
It is.
Like yes and yes, science.
I know.
And it just reminds me, I was explaining to someone why I was laughing in the middle of my workday at what I'd just seen. And I then had to explain the science comment was because we had a Stanford Business School professor validate the butt cheek clenching. If you haven't listened to that episode before, you need to go and listen to it.
Also though, because Mark's probably a loyal long-time listener, he also knows that I'm constantly saying women in STEM, science, anytime something's remotely factual. I'm like, science. So
women in STEM. Anytime someone says the word evidence, you're like, women in STEM.
Or like math or anything. I'm like, wow, women in STEM. It's so inspiring. Anyway, so yeah, that just is epic, and that's going to kick off a great episode because that was funny. And be like Mark, make sticky notes that say CYCB, clench your butt cheeks.
No, CYBC, clench your butt cheeks. That's going to have to be a hashtag that we use now from time to time, and only the real ones will know.
Yeah, it's in.
So if you are like Mark and you have an interview coming up and you need a little bit of help, you can check out my support services that are available for a little bit more in-depth help. Either you can check out the Interview Academy and get into that straight away and get prepping, or I've got one-on-one sessions if you just need a little quick refresh and a pointer. Check them out on our website, interviewboss.com.au/coaching.
Yes. Now, this week, we're talking about scams and scams in the job world. Now, I'm looking forward to this because a bit of a fun fact, I talk about scams all day long, every day, because I'm a radio journalist, as mentioned in my bio of this podcast. And scams, as we all know, rampant at the moment, like just insane. I know so many people that have got scammed. They're rampant on our phones. Like every single morning I wake up with a post-delivery scam saying like, package couldn't be delivered, enter details here. And I used to think, this is a hot take, I used to think that people that got scammed were idiots, okay? I would be like, how? Come on, common sense. We're in a digital world. We've grown up on the internet. Like, come on. But no, I take it back. They are so sophisticated these days.
They are.
The one that actually nearly got me the other day was in Australia when you go over tolls, like roads that you have to pay for.
Oh, yes.
There's an app called Linked to Go, which I have, and it's where when you go over a toll, it will just scan your number plate and then it's linked to your app and you'll get a notification saying, hey, you've got an overdue toll bill, pay here. So I had just gone on a trip over a toll. I was expecting it, and then I got the email saying, hey, pay your toll. I almost fell for it, but they're everywhere. So nobody is safe in this world from scams at the moment. I have a best friend whose parents just got scammed of like $60,000 and that was meant to be their last holiday, like, you know, retirement, their big trip that they wanted to do, had to go back to work.
What kind of a scam was it? One of the ones where they changed the bank details on an invoice?
I think they convinced them that they had been hacked or something and to log in to move and save the funds and then got access. And then in those situations, because you have somewhat played a part, even though they're very convincing, you can't get the money back from banks. It's just horrific. We've seen all kinds. But moving on to how I talk about them all the time, it's because Australia is really trying to clamp down on scams. They've released the National Anti-Scam Centre. They're funneling heaps of money into this. It's a real big thing. So the Assistant Treasurer of the country, Mr. Stephen Jones, is a good friend of the show. He's a good friend of mine. I talked to him on the phone about once.
Not the show, not our show,
Well,
your show.
He is. By default, he's a friend of me and my personal work full-time job. So therefore, he's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the show. Speak to him every few days on the phone for radio grabs about scams and the budget and the economy and all those good financial things. And he has a signature catchphrase that he's told me so many times that it's my Roman Empire. It plays on repeat in my mind. I probably sleep talk this line. He says it constantly. So I'm going to pass it on in honour of Stephen. If you're listening.
I'm excited. I don't know what this is.
This is what he says. Don't click the bloody blue link. That's what he says. He also says, this is another classic one, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Is it just don't click the blue link or it's the bloody blue link?
The bloody blue link.
It's got to be the bloody blue link.
And it's worked. This just plays in my head constantly. And if anyone in my life gets something suspicious, I'm like, don't click the bloody blue link. So just, starting off with a little bit of advice for everyone.
I have a story. And this is about scams and stuff as well. Now, one of the big kinds of scams that probably organizations are really quite worried about, where people can lose a huge amount of money in one go, is where scammers will essentially get access to someone's computer. They usually do that by phishing. So someone clicks a malicious link, they put in information, they get access to that person's emails or whatever. And if they can get access to an outbound invoice, let's say the company I work for is invoicing, someone that we've done some work for or whatever. They then intercept that email. They change the PDF to change the bank details on the email. And that company who genuinely has got work and is expecting to pay an invoice to us pays that invoice, but it doesn't land in our account. And we're like, where did it go? The money's lost. The bank details have been changed. It's gone to the scammer.
And they're like, we've paid it. Oh.
Yes. This happens to people when they're paying lawyers' fees, when they're paying house deposits. If you're overpaying a large amount of money for an invoice that you've received via email and you get something like the bank details have changed or whatever, just call the office and confirm, hey, just checking that this is your details. It's just so worth it. So that's a big kind of scam that can happen. I'm not saying that's ever happened to the companies I work for, but it's so easy when there's so many invoices coming and going in a business setting. It only takes one person's account for that to happen.
And shout out to our sister Annie, who was hacked recently. She's in Europe living her best life on the holiday of a dream, and a bloody hacker got into her Instagram and was posting that dumb crypto shit, you know, where they take screenshots of your photos and they're like, I got rich by using this. You can too.
Look at these bank transfers. Look at all this money that I have. I wouldn't be posting this if it wasn't true.
And she was so hilarious about it all. We're all blowing up her phone overnight being like, oh my God, Annie, you've been hacked.
What can we do? How do I help?
Quick. And she's like, I already know. I get back in and I kick them out, but then they go to sleep and I'm back in, but then they kick me back out in the morning. So I've just got to wait till they go to sleep again. And it was like this she's like negotiating with them. She ended up getting it back. But for a while there, it looked like her and the hacker were sharing posts because Europe content would keep coming up and then a scammer post would come up.
And then I replied to, because I thought they were both posting. Turns out it was just a scammer still pretending to be her. So I replied to one of the stories and I said, haha, the combination of the Europe posts and the scam posts are really funny. And it was the scammer in the DMs who replied to me. And I like, it's my sister. Obviously, I know that it's not her. Like, she doesn't make typos or grammar mistakes. It was so obvious. And they came back to me and was like, I wouldn't share it if it wasn't really legit. You should try it, X or something. I'm like, that's not how we speak to each other. And I said, oh, well, look.
You said, I'm sure you're a good person. You're trying to ration with them.
Well, I was like, probably this is some poor person who's been paid to do this or something. Or like, I don't think this is the mastermind person who's in there doing the DMing, right? Like, surely if you're a mastermind scammer, you'd have someone else doing the DMs and the posting once you'd gotten in. So I was trying to rationalize with them. And then I got blocked by my own sister's account because
brutal.
Because the scammer was like, stop it. You're annoying me.
It was so elaborate. She said that they linked a Facebook Meta account to her Instagram so she couldn't like reset the password and stuff because it was linked to that and you didn't need a sign on and it was so convoluted to get it back. But in her whole process of going down the rabbit hole investigating, she found out that you can go onto your Hotmail, like Live, any of those normal email accounts. And in the settings, you can go to like activity. It was hard to find. You had to fiddle with it. And then you can click activity and like attempted logins. And the ones that popped up, it was like for the past 20 days, they had been trying nonstop. It was like Croatia, 1140, unsuccessful attempt, 1141. And that prompted me to go and look at mine.
I did that too.
It was the exact same.
Mine was the same.
It was like UK, here, there. And so I felt like, oh my God, they're out to get me. They're coming for me. I set up 2-step auth with that authenticator app, but it's wild. So fucking stay safe out there.
I wonder whether that's just normal. Like, I'd love for someone who knows more about this to know that, like, does Gmail just not tell you about the unauthorized attempts? And they're like, oh, just everybody's account always gets attempted to log into? Or is it particular to ones that have, like, that old email of mine has been in so many data leaks now? Like, I'm sure it's everywhere in heaps of illegal data sets. And obviously the passwords are all different, but they must still just attempt with the old password from the data leaks and stuff. So, yeah, I wonder if that's normal or whether our accounts are particularly, like, coming up or something. But this is your sign. You need to go and change your passwords. And I've noticed now the government campaign, they're saying passphrases, not password. And I think that's a very deliberate change of verbiage to say it's a I've never used that word in my life. Did it sound natural or not? I think the word passphrase is like it should be a sentence or one word kind of thing.
I'm so into that. I've been doing that for years. I can't tell you what they are, but my passwords will be like the most effed up shit.
Yeah, a passphrase, like a sentence, like a couple of words all in one go.
Like a cooking ingredient and a verb together. Like mashed bananas. I just made that up, but that's similar to a password that I've had before.
Well, that wouldn't work because that's from a Wiggles song. It's very popular. I'm sure other people would use that.
Chopped cucumber, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get it. So passphrases, update them. But we've gotten off track. What I was going to say is, so because this is really important for businesses, we at the company I work for have this whole training program that's like online security awareness training. And it's been put in by our IT company or whatever. And there's this really cool company in Australia that offers this thing. The company's name that does this training is called Friendly Phishing. And it's friendly with a PH, phishing with a PH, obviously. And they do anti-scam awareness training for employees and companies and stuff. And they send it through your emails and then you can track as a business who's clicking on the fake links. It sends them test fake links to see if they're clicking on them and stuff. And then it tells you who's the most vulnerable employees who keep clicking on the bloody blue links and stuff. So it's a really cool system. But oh my Lord, Emma, do you know the main problem that we have with this thing? The main problem that we have with this training program.
People think it's a scam.
People think it's a scam. People report the phishing training as phishing. It drives me absolutely insane. I have been on a 2-year campaign to try and get everyone to understand that it's not a phishing attempt. It's just the name of the company that does the anti-phishing training. Oh my God.
They need to be like, we help you avoid scams, needs to be the company name.
They do though. And then people think, oh, like they're the people that click on the bloody blue links. And I'm like, you're clearly scam aware, but not in a good way, just in a bad way that you're just declaring helpful things. Like you need the training more than anyone because you would have looked at this in any other way. It's all over our intranet. We've got official stuff. We tell people when they start with us, like it's so clearly official information. Oh, I had to put it on the homepage of the intranet and still people kept reporting it. Oh my gosh, it's been quite the challenge, but I have learnt a lot from that training and I think we're going to reference some of those things in these episodes.
Interview Academy might be the perfect thing you're looking for. Interview Academy is a course Sarah has been working on after delivering hundreds of interview coaching sessions and getting incredible results.
But unfortunately, I'm only one gal living in an Aussie time zone who works a day job, and all of that mean I can't help everyone one-on-one, which drove me crazy.
So for over a year, Sarah's been working on turning all of those amazing lessons into an on-demand, step-by-step interview prep course. We hold your hand through the entire thing.
And you can do it at home in your own time and get instant access right now. Check it out at interviewboss.com.au/interview-academy. The link is in the show notes. So let's get into it. What on earth does all this scam stuff have to do with people looking for a job?
Well, lots of things, because scams are circulating where it's a job. They're masking that they're a job that you can apply for, but they could steal your personal information. So they want you to submit like, hey, apply for this job, but we need all your details, obviously, as the candidate. And then they're going to use that for dodgy things. They could also convince you to pay money, which this is wild because what job requests money to apply?
Well, we're going to get into this because, again, it comes into that thing of everyone would be like, I would never pay money to start a new job. They're so clever about it. They prey on your emotions. Anytime it's like something emotional involved, that's where scammers will come in. So it's like, you know, the one that was like, hey, mum, I've lost my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
That was because it's emotions. It's mothers or someone saying, hey, you've been scammed. Quick, we can help you fix it. It's emotions. So scammers will absolutely prey on that. So everyone would think, oh, I would never pay money, but we'll get into how they do that. They could also have you doing illegal activity. I saw some of these and I was like, oh my God, that's really scary. You could be money laundering, so like transferring money in and out for other people, or sending out illegal packages. Like imagine you're like, oh, rewrap these things and send them out.
Wait, so as in it's a legitimate job, as in they've hired you to do that, but the actual job itself is doing something dodgy as.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or they could, and obviously there's just no real job in a lot of these circumstances as well. So obviously that's, you know, how you're losing out as well. So we've got some things to look for. I've done some research on people's stories on TikTok, you know, some articles, some advice that's out there from governments about what different types of scams are. So here's some stuff to look out for. What I found really wild about this that might get people into that false sense of security is that they come from a real person's name that really works at that actual company. You know, so they might use Emma from the radio station.
And then if you look me up, you might see I'm listed on the actual company's website.
That's right. And so they're using those real names, which, I mean, it's not that smart, I guess, but like they're not making up fake names. They're using real people's names. It's just that it's not actually them that's speaking to you. So that's something to watch out for.
Their email address might look really similar, but just be a slight difference. It might be .co instead of .com, or it might be, you know, .com AU without the dot in between. You really need to go through a fine-tooth comb because sometimes you glance at it and you're like, oh yeah, that looks fine. But also it can be just plain stupid email address. I got one the other day that was like super threatening, but you scroll down to the customer service email and it's like JYXAL8124@gmail and you're like, come on. So that's an obvious one.
Yeah, at Gmail, I know. But also the thing with that is make sure that you check because they can have the display name and you can make that whatever you want. You can make the display name the real company, but when you hover over it and you see the actual email address that it's come from, it's a dodgy one like at Gmail or something. So make sure you're checking that. I got that from the friendly phishing training.
Oh, Excellent. They also probably don't give a lot of specifics about the job. It's probably generic information. These are actually rife at the moment in community groups on Facebook, like local community groups of suburbs. And it'll be like, wanted, remote job, pays $3,000 a week, no experience needed. And people comment and are like, oh my God, more information, please.
Yeah. And sometimes those could be people who've been hired and their job that they have to do is to hire more people to do no job, to hire more people. It's like actually kind of a pyramid scheme too.
Oh, Inception.
Yeah, gross. There's often typos like we talked about with Annie's hacker, and there's often like a generic email address. So even if they have spoofed, it's like at facebook.com, it's like facebook.co or whatever, but it might be info at that company. It's not Emma Smith at that company. So it might be like a generic email. So they may be pretending to be multiple people with the one email address. The other one I saw is that they might ask you to pay for a credit report, which some companies would ask you to do a credit check. So it's like they're playing in this world of like, oh, that kind of sounds normal.
Like what if you work in the finance sector?
Yeah, except that companies will get you to fill it in, but they'll pay for it. Whereas if they're saying, oh, Emma, you need to pay for a credit check. We need a credit check. Here, follow this link and it'll get you to pay for your credit check. Except that you're not paying for a credit check. You're putting your credit card information or your card information into a dodgy website. You would never need to pay for a credit check for a legitimate job. And if you did, you would be able to procure one yourself to get a credit check independently on a reputable website and then send them the results. You would never have to pay via the company. So red flag on that one.
And communicating on weird platforms. I get heaps of weird things on WhatsApp, Skype, Signal. Like, not happening. Not happening.
Well, imagine someone was like, oh, Em, you're invited to an interview and it's on Skype.
Did 2007 call?
Yeah, that's right. Like, no, absolutely not. Skype is not an official business channel. Or I've seen people talk about having a text interview, like a text message interview over WhatsApp. No, that's not real. That's not happening. Signal or people having to download a specific app in order to do the interview. I don't know. That's dodgy to me.
That's clever because like with all the rise of like AI and different platforms and recruitments, I could probably fall for like, oh, okay, that's just their preferred endorsed app, but no, don't believe it.
And I don't want to make people fearful of like real companies.
No, we do. You can never have too much skepticism, okay? Get the tinfoil hats out. We question everything.
You have to take everything all together, right? Like if you're actually communicating on the official person's LinkedIn account and then they ask you to download an app, like, I don't know, like it's probably fine. You need to take it all together, but those things would be really weird to me.
Also, getting hired without actually having been interviewed properly, probably not real.
Or like no references, or you've never actually spoken to anyone. It's all been via text message. Like I text a lot of candidates. Like that's totally legit. It's just if you've never spoken to anyone, you've never had an interview and it's only all text message, you just need to think, why would they hire someone without meeting them properly? Like it's just a bit odd.
Stephen Jones has a perfect quote for this. If they're telling you you can work from anywhere, it's flexible, it's also a super high salary, it's also minimal hours. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes, that's right. It is. Certain types of jobs tend to fall into this category. I think you just mentioned the community group one. Data entry, being a mystery shopper, envelope stuffing, resale jobs, anything work from home tends to be targeted.
Customer service.
Yeah, anything like that. I'm not saying all jobs in those categories are dodgy. Of course not. It's just that they make for the ones that are the easiest to scam people for. And they send you money. That might be a bit of a red flag too.
I'm okay with that. Scammers, send me money for once. How about that?
Yeah, but Em, this is what I was going to say. This is how they get you. Some of the things that they come up with is like, Em, congratulations, you've got a remote job where you get to work from home. Now you're going to need a computer, so we're going to send you the money to buy one. We're going to send you a check, or like we're going to transfer you some money or whatever. It's going to land in your account. And they actually do. You actually see the money in your account, but it sits in that pending. You know how it's not totally cleared yet. And then they say, oh, you know what? Our finance team, oh, she's new and she's just started and she was meant to send you 5,000, but she's accidentally sent you 10,000. Do you mind just sending 5,000 back? Like you can see it there. Like she sent you 10. She was only meant to send you 5. So you go, oh, no worries. Oh, of course. Sure. I'll send it back because you can see the money there. Again, people aren't completely stupid. There's normally things that are tricking them into doing that. So they can see it there. They transfer 5,000 back and then that 10,000 pending goes away. And so you've ended up, yeah, see, it got you, didn't it?
Suckers. How do they make it go away? Like, what if I never sent my $5,000? Would I just get rich because the 10 grand would eventually come in?
No, they can like recall the transaction or whatever. Like there's things that you can do in the back end. So just because it's sitting there pending doesn't mean it's real. They can do this with checks as well. They might mail you a check and that you cash it and the bank then goes, oh, that was fraudulent, whatever. But see what I mean of like, it's not just they say, hey, you need to pay $5,000 to start here. That would be too obvious. People would be clued on with that. It's these tricky little things of like, oh, you need to pay for the credit check. Oh, you have to transfer us back some money. Oh, there's training that you have to pay for. Stuff like that that's going to sound vaguely legit.
Definitely. So, some advice from the Australian government's Scam Watch agency, steps you can take.
Yeah. This was actually the best advice that I kind of found. They were really comprehensive. Like, shout out to the Australian government. This works regardless of where you are in the world, by the way.
I will let Stephen know that the government's doing a great job. Don't trust a job ad is real just because it appears on a legit platform or website, because scammers can post fake ads as well. So if you do come across a scammer, report it to the platform or agency themselves.
Yes. So like just because it's on Indeed and you trust them or it's on whatever, like you can easily just create an account and post a scammy job ad.
Never send money or give your personal information, credit card, online bank or cryptocurrency account details to anyone you've met only online, through email or over the phone. Just absolute no-no.
Scammers might deceive you by giving you a small payment for completing a job or a task. Never send your own money. You won't get it back. We just talked about that. Like you might receive something and then, oh, you've received it. It's legitimate. You pay it back. Just because you're receiving money doesn't mean it's not a scam. Think about Melissa Caddick. Do you know that story?
Yes.
Her victims received money. Like just because you receive money doesn't mean it's not a scam. If they're stealing from lots of people, they've got money to move around and they can use that money to convince you to send them stuff. Like it's not always clear cut.
Know who you're dealing with and contact recruitment agency representatives yourself with numbers that you've sourced online, not just the number that they said to call. Cross-check it. See if it matches up.
Hit them up on LinkedIn. Message the real person. I saw a couple of people on TikTok saying that they'd reached out to the real person on LinkedIn and the person said, oh, sorry, that's not me. So that can be really helpful. Send them a message on there or call the company, reach out to them, but source that information yourself directly to see, hey, have I been offered a job with you guys? Is this your email address?
Also, this is my favourite one. Don't be pressured to act quickly. A legitimate offer is not going to put the pressure on you emotionally and say, you have to get back to us in 24 hours. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
It has to be right now. Yeah. They're trying to make you act with emotion, to be really excited or to be really panicked.
And not think it through.
That's right. Because when you're thinking emotionally, when you're feeling emotional, you're not thinking the steps through and you're not going to notice the little things that might be off when you go back and you notice that there's actually typos throughout those emails and all that sort of stuff.
Also, don't get in on the pyramid scheme. Don't take payment or rewards to recruit other people.
Yes. Now, referral bonuses are actually a real thing, but there will be an actual legitimate job that you are actually legitimately doing before you're ever asked to refer or recruit someone or receive payment for it. You just want to be aware of the pyramid scheme where there's no actual job.
Never send your passport or identity documents to an employer or recruitment firm unless you're certain they're genuine, because sometimes you will be asked to provide documentation, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you absolutely. You have to send in your evidence of your identity and all your personal information.
But do that after you've met in person, you've had all your interviews, you've seen the genuine office building, not when they just say, hey, do you want a job? Send in some stuff.
Or you've had a meeting on Microsoft Teams or you've used Google Meet or something legitimate and it's not on Signal and they've actually been able to tell you what the job is and you can see on the company all these different things. And you should be entering that information into a system or filling out some official company forms. I wouldn't say that you're just sending them over. And your company's never going to need your card details. Like I can't think of any reason why a company would need your payment card information. And then there's a bonus from me at the end here. This is why we don't put our full address on our resume. We've talked about that on a resume episode. It's just another reason. If you're applying for hundreds of jobs, all those people now have your full name and your full address. Not good. Date of birth, even more so. Not a single reason to put that on there. You're giving people who you don't know who they are access to confidential information about you that they could use to apply for a credit card on your behalf or something like that. So we don't put that information out there.
Boom. There is your comprehensive guide to avoiding scams, especially in the job search. We're vulnerable, we're tired, we're exhausted, we want jobs. Don't let them get your weakness.
I know. And that's the awful part of this, is that they are preying on vulnerable people who they do know are applying for lots of things. I saw one example where someone had had a reach out for a company that they hadn't even applied for. So it's not like they had a fake ad. There was no ad. They must have gone on one of those websites, downloaded their resume. You can pay to have access to download people's resumes that are stored in the platform, like in the back end of Indeed or something. As an employer, you can be like search resumes and stuff. So it's like they pulled their information and contacted them proactively for a job they hadn't even applied for. And if you're applying for lots, you might get mixed up and you don't even realize, like,
or think you've been headhunted and get excited.
Yeah, they're preying on vulnerable people. And I'm sorry if this was like a doom and gloom episode. We tried to make it a little bit entertaining in the beginning. And I hope it's one of those ones that you just file away in the back of your mind somewhere, and that one day maybe it pops up and you can avoid losing any money or having your details stolen.
Some final imparting words from me. Don't click the bloody blue link.
Shout out to, what is it, the Assistant Finance Minister?
Stephen Jones, Assistant Treasurer, and Whitlam MP.
Assistant Treasurer. Well, thank you very much to Stephen, who's the unofficial sponsor of this episode.
Friend of the show.
Thanks so much for listening to Interview Boss. If you like hearing the sound of our voices, follow us on Apple or Spotify, or better yet, tell someone else about the show and how good we are. That's how we can hit the charts and help even more people. For more advice, inspiration, and a supportive community, chuck us a follow on Instagram at InterviewBoss.
We've been your job search besties and helped you in some way. There's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming.